has been something that I've been struggling with too, right? I mean, everybody goes through it. And when we want to make changes, like we all follow this cycle and I fall prey to this as well. And so as we become informed and we understand that it's going to be a lot more difficult than we originally anticipated, we have to understand that we are in the valley of despair. We have a crisis of meaning. We have a decision to make that are we going to continue even though it's hard, even though it's difficult, are we going to continue with the path we've chosen and be consistent over time? Or are we going to choose a new vehicle? What is up, guys? Hey, welcome back to the Epic Dad Legacy Podcast. Hey, we have got a Friday Dad Talk episode for you today. That is where it is short and to the point, and hopefully you guys can get some value from a quick conversation that we can have. And today I wanted to talk about something that we had pulled out inside of our Epic Dad Accelerator group during one of our check-in calls that I thought you could get a lot of value from. Our accelerator program is designed to do a lot of things, and one of those is to get you into incredible shape, right? To get physical results. And there comes a time, right, on anyone's journey, whether that is in fitness and health or in business or just wanting to make significant changes in your life. They all seem to follow the same pattern, this change pattern. And there's really 6 steps to this change pattern. And I originally heard this and saw a graph from Alex Hormozy. And so I've been resonating with this a lot as I go through my entrepreneurial journey. Our guys inside of our community, the Epic Dad crew and our Epic Dad Accelerator have been resonating with this a lot and going through this transformational journey, right, to become a better husband, a better man, a better father, in every aspect of life. And it's funny that they all follow the same pattern. And so if we can dive into this and understand what that pattern is, we can be a lot more equipped to continue down the path when things get challenging. And so this pattern, I'm actually going to share my screen here. So if you're on YouTube, you can watch it. If you're on Spotify, I'll try to do my best to explain this as I go. But there's 6 steps to this process of change. So let me open up and share my screen for the YouTube listeners. Okay, so this pattern, right, is, like I said, is 6 steps, and it's really anytime you go through a change, you're going to go through this pattern. And so I'm going to draw it here on the screen, so you can see we start, with a starting point, right? So I'll draw an X right here, and we're starting, right? And then we go on this journey, and we start to go up this mountain, right? And right here is where we can call this uninformed optimism, right? So I'll drag that down and put it right here. That's uninformed optimism. And what this is really, hey, I am starting my journey, right? And I am super excited about it, right? Maybe it is I want to lose weight. Maybe it's I want to get on a new fitness program. And maybe it is I want to change the relationship with my spouse, with my kids. Maybe it is I want to step into my calling as a father or a man in my community, whatever it is, right? Like we have this sense of excitement, right? That we're going on this new journey and we are excited. But the issue with that is we are optimistic, but we don't know what we're doing, right? We're uninformed. We don't know what it's actually going to take in order to get to our desired result. So that is uninformed optimism. And we start out on that journey and we start going up, right? We have this optimism. And so the graph, if you can't see it, is going up and to the right, right? And that's what I'm drawing here is going up and to the right. And then what happens over time is we start to make changes, right? And we're very excited, we're very motivated, but then we hit a peak at some point in time, right? And so we hit a peak right here, and then we start to go down the backside of that mountain right here, right? And so things start to get difficult. And so what we call this informed pessimism. So I'm going to drag that onto our graph here for people that are looking on YouTube. So this is informed pessimism, right? This means that, hey, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Is I came into this super excited, ready to go, ready to take action, and I started to take action, but then I'm starting to hit walls, I'm starting to hit challenges, roadblocks that I didn't foresee because I was uninformed. But now you are informed, you're starting to run into those roadblocks and you understand that, hey, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Now, as we continue down this graph, we go down into what I call the valley of despair, where we actually go down to a low point that's lower than where we initially started, right? Because we thought that this was going to be the solution to our challenge, our problem we have in life. We were going to take on this new opportunity, but we actually go down below motivation wise where we actually started. And so what I call this is the valley of despair. And so this is when things are going not well, to say the least, right? Is, we started out with a lot of motivation. We kind of hit a peak. We start going back down the backside of that mountain. And now we're informed and we're pessimistic because it's not as easy as we thought it was going to be, right? And things are not going the way we want them to go. Things are difficult. They are tough. And we didn't foresee this when we got started. And so we go down the backside of this mountain and we go into what I call the valley of despair. And this is where we have a crisis of meaning. And what I want to reiterate to you guys and put emphasis on is this is where most people quit, right? Because you were excited, things got difficult, things got a lot harder than you thought they were going to be. And here usually is where people jump off the boat, is they try to go find a new opportunity. So let's talk about weight loss and fitness for a second. And let's use this as a metaphor. And so let's say, you are super excited, you want to lose 30 pounds, let's call it, right? And so you get onto a new fitness program, you get onto a nutrition program, and you're very excited about it, right? Maybe you start to see some results initially, over the first 2 weeks, right? And what happens though is, hey, things start to get tough, right? Maybe we're not making as much progress as we wanted to, as fast as we wanted to. Maybe the workouts are tough. It's hard to get motivated and disciplined to go to the gym in the morning. It's hard and difficult to track your macros, to track your food, or maybe you're on a specific diet, right? Maybe you said, hey, I'll try the keto diet, and you go all in on the keto diet, right? And you don't realize, hey, how difficult it is to adhere to that. And so, you start going down into this valley of despair or this crisis of meaning. And what happens with most people is they get down in that valley and they decide to make a shift, right? They say, hey, this is not the right vehicle for me to reach my overall goal. And so they jump ship. And so if they're on a keto diet, they'll say, hey, this didn't work for me. This didn't work for me, right? I'm going to go to the tracking macros, or I'm going to go to a different diet, right? Something that's different than the vehicle that they're currently on. However, so what I want to reiterate to you, right? And I'll draw this out on the graph for those that are watching on YouTube. This is what we call the crash and burn. So right here at the bottom is the crash and burn. And what typically happens is, I'm going to draw an arrow here. What typically happens, like I said, is you're going to jump off of this ship and you are going to choose a new vehicle, right? So we're going to jump off the ship right here. We're going to jump off. However, if we continue down that path, right, now that we know that we're informed that it's going to be difficult, if we continue to stay disciplined, if we continue to have consistency in our actions, what we're going to see over a long enough time horizon is you are going to see that mountain start to go back up, right? That graph start to go back up and to the right. And this is what we call informed optimism, right? Is now you're starting to understand what is required to ultimately get to your desired result. So I'm going to drag this down right here to the graph, informed optimism. And so that is going to be, if you continue down that path, right? If you take the consistent action over a long enough time horizon, the graph will start to go back up and to the right. And that's informed optimism, is that now I know what to do, I know what it takes, and I'm going to be consistent in my action. And ultimately what it's going to lead to, again, over a long enough time horizon, excuse me, is going to lead to you reaching the result that you seek, right? It's going to lead to achievement. So I'm going to drag achievement down here to the graph. And so now you guys get the full picture. It's a terrible drawing. However, you get the overall concept, right? Is that this is the pattern that most of us follow to get achievement. It is not a graph that goes up and to the right all the time. There are bumps and mini peaks and valleys along the way. However, broadly, this is the process that we all follow. Is we have uninformed optimism when we first get started. We're very excited. We're ready to jump in, feet first, but we have no idea what it's going to take to actually accomplish our goal. So we get to, the peak of that first mountain, right? We're optimistic. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of results. And then we start to drop off the backside of that mountain, and we are informed now, and we're pessimistic because it's a lot harder than we thought it was going to be. So we're going to follow that mountain all the way down to a valley of despair, which is where we think that maybe we chose the wrong vehicle, right? That this is taking much longer than I thought it would originally. This is much harder than I thought it was going to be originally. And here we have a decision to make, right? A crisis of meaning, so to speak. And we can either continue down this path and take consistent action, but what most of us do is we jump ship here. We crash and burn and we go choose another vehicle. However, what ends up happening is this whole graph starts over again, right? Is you choose a new vehicle and you go right back to uninformed optimism. And so you're going to follow this cycle over and over and over and over if we continue to choose new paths and new vehicles. So what I hope to do with this podcast and kind of showing you guys this graph here is, a lot of our guys inside of our community, they come in hot out the gate, right? They are ready to roll. They want to make drastic changes, but they are in that uninformed, optimistic state, right? And so we hit a peak, we see some results, and we get down in the dumps because it's a lot harder than we thought it was going to be. And so we have a decision to make. And what I reiterate to our guys in our community is you are on the right path, right? This works. It's just you've never been here before, right? But now you're informed on what it's going to take. And we just have to lengthen our time horizon on what success looks like, follow the path, stay consistent and disciplined in our action. And ultimately, we're going to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And then we're going to get informed and then ultimately lead to achievement. But if we continue to drop off at that crash and burn level at the bottom of the valley of despair, like we're just going to continue that cycle over and over and over and wonder why we're not able to actually have changes and why we're not actually able to get a results. So I hope that this has been helpful. Again, for guys looking on YouTube, we'll have the graph there in front of you. I'll put out a link on social media as well, with this graph that has been something that I've been struggling with too, right? I mean, everybody goes through it. And when we want to make changes, like we all follow this cycle, and I fall prey to this as well. And so as we become informed and we understand that it's going to be a lot more difficult than we originally anticipated, we have to understand that we are in the valley of despair. We have a crisis of meaning. We have a decision to make, that are we going to continue, even though it's hard, even though it's difficult, are we going to continue with the path we've chosen and be consistent over time? Or are we going to choose a new vehicle? And so that's the decision that we all have. This is the path that we all follow when we want to make changes. So hopefully you guys got value out of this episode and the 6-part process that we all go through when we want to change. And if you did, drop me a note, send a DM. Would love to know your feedback on this type of message. So with that, guys, we will end the show here, and I will see you guys on the next episode.